Welcome to Crypto and Gaming, where we speak about tomorrow's games today. Brought to you in part by OneUpGaming.io, the metaverse of tomorrow today. Also brought to you by the Finding Genius podcast, discussing medicine, health, and bioscience on iTunes, Spotify, and all your other favorite places to download podcasts onto your favorite device. Hi, this is Josh Hale, and this is Crypto and Gaming, or Gaming and Crypto. You can call us whatever you want, but ultimately it's about crypto and gaming, and we are sponsored today by OneUp bringing extra life into all of your video games on any console, any place in the world, brought to you by OneUp. I'm joined today with Jerome Chanpigny. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. He's with Tidal Force VR. With that being said, they're doing some neat stuff in blockchain, and ultimately I'd love to hear a little bit about more what you're doing and kind of how you see the market shaping out on this whole blockchain and video game stuff that's currently happening. Welcome, Jerome.
Thank you. And yeah, Jerome Champigny, or Champigny, if you want the real pronunciation there. Can't blame me for it though.
No, my name's Hale, so it's a little bit easier. So what are you doing in the space? What's Tidal Force VR? What are
what
are you trying to do?
Focus on right now is immersive multiplayer VR experiences. So what we do is we try to bring a meaningful experience to the consumer as far as VR goes. VR is, a medium that is, to me, very hard for the consumer to reach meaningfulness when it's on a home base, product base, right? And so what we do is we're LB, so location-based entertainment company. What we do is we try to have as immersive as possible experiences for the consumer. So we employ different psychological or technological advances in order to do so. Now, as far as the crypto aspect of this and all the NFT and stuff like that, we are working on a process so that content that is created through our gamers being playing with each other inside the game, we would create content out of those and make pretty much a marketplace if people wanted to resell their own content created within the VR.
I'm kind of looking at what you guys are doing. I'm on your website at TidalForceVR.com.
Yep.
And if I was to describe this, tell me if this is an unfair assessment of what I'm saying. If I were to describe this, I might describe it as something akin to being a escape room that's digital in nature, and you're going to a location to do this or play this. It may not be an escape room exactly. You might be having an adventure or whatever, but it's same sort of idea. You're figuring out how to do whatever it is, whether have a battle or how to, get out of a castle. Is that a unfair estimation?
The first experience is an escape room that we developed. We started this 4 years ago. So yeah, this one is an escape room. We do have a second experience as well, which is a cooperative shooter where people are defending a space station against a waves of drones. Third one is a versus where groups are actually separated in two, and then they go into a team battle, basically. So we're building like little by little our experiences. We're not a lot, and we're self-funded, so we're taking our time. We're not in a hurry either. But yeah, little by little, there's going to be more and more experiences.
That's cool. So what I'm kind of seeing here is what you're building is more or less what I would describe as like a Web 2 type video game experience, but done in person, right? Are you seeing in your company or in companies doing similar ideas to what you're doing? Are you seeing companies focus on blockchain? Are you seeing them focus on, hey, let's build this new thing that doesn't yet exist? Or is it still in its infancy from what you're seeing?
Well, I mean, there is a bunch of companies that are doing, Sandbox, for instance, that is doing like a metaverse blockchain Web3 experience, basically, right? That they're trying to build a metaverse, right, basically. Now, I'm not sure what their support as far as VR is on top of this. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch. I'm not sure if Facebook is going to use blockchain as well for their metaverse as well. Like Facebook Meta, I guess, right? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. For now, like what we do is really niche and is really also like a lot of companies didn't survive COVID. The Void was like one of the
in
biggest
in
LBE.
every industry, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With VR, I mean, VR has been like hugely hit because it's already something that is fringe and people are kind of, they're not sure about. They feel it's like either way too nerdy for them or it's also way too inclusive in the way that, if you go to a VR arcade, you're not even sharing the Pac-Man arcade with a friend or whatever. You're just putting this headset and you're secluding yourself from your party. Like, like it's a very
Right.
individualistic experience when you go to a VR arcade. So I think a lot of people are kind of put off by this. What, yeah, what we were trying to do to transmit is that if you come with a group, you can actually play with your group inside the VR. But now, as far as, so yeah, like the development with the blockchain inside our own sector is extremely fringe. I'm not even sure. I haven't heard of any company that entertainment based VR that is trying to mix the two of them.
I saw a project in Miami that was XR is what they were describing as. It's
Yeah,
kind of a cross between AR and XR, I guess. And they were,
AVR.
yeah, it was interesting. They were building like, for example, they were building, statues that were, statues in the real world digitally, but it wasn't a physical statue. It was, a statue that, let's say, for example, you have a statue in a park. Maybe that same park has a 30-story statue of the same statue or something. And I thought that was really a neat use for any of the, R types, whether that's AR, XR, VR, I'm sure there's 900 others as well. But it was a very interesting use because they were bringing this VR into the real world and it would be experiential and able to be experienced by multiple people at the same time. So you're not having that seclusion question that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm seeing some stuff being done for games, but a lot of that is the idea of stuff like Axie Infinity, right? Where people are playing, these games that are not headset based. They're playing, on their computer for 8 hours a day to make a living. And that's interesting, but I don't know how sustainable it is. We talk about sustainability on this podcast with the people all the time that are on about, is this something that can last? And nobody has an answer to any of that right now, right?
And if you knew, you could bet about it, right? You can never know, and in these day and age, like everything goes so fast, trends go up and down, and it's like you gotta be dynamic, and you can never know. I think the best is just to place your bet, commit to what you're trying to do, and
Bet
just
on
hope
your
for the
pony
best,
and
right?
just do it, right?
Yeah, hope for the best, because at that point, or have
Now,
find different projects.
now, did you get started in VR? Is that where you kind of got your start in the industry, or how did you
No,
start?
no, 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 no. We're the team is experienced in advertising solutions, whether it's front end, back end, whatever. So we've worked on multiple, advertising trackers, advertising delivery systems, cross agency tools in order to ingest data and stuff like that. So we're a big database team, but advertising is such a boring segment.
I don't
It's
know. For me,
awful.
I'm kind of a nerd for it, right? Like I
Yeah.
like the idea of deep dive analytics, where you're
No, no,
finding,
that to be no, no. I get that, but it's all the BS around it. It's when you're in such big companies, you're literally selling wind. Like I remember being at some point like they created a sub company in order to ingest some like projects that they had around, and they're already selling clients like data, but nothing was ready to sell data. Like they were, the client was receiving data, the client was getting reports and stuff like that, but nothing was ready to do that. I'm pretty sure like some guy was just like typing on Word some stuff and saying like, oh yeah, yeah, it comes from
putting
our
it in a
big
spreadsheet.
fat system. Yeah, it's all, and they're paying like millions and millions and millions of dollars for these things, and I'm like, there was nothing ready, nothing to deliver any data. So it's kind of it's tiring. So at some point we tried to launch a startup in the field. That didn't happen because like we had no motivation for it, and so we saw the multiplayer VR segment, and we're like, hey, you know what? Let's do something fun. So yeah, we've been doing this. It's interesting. I don't know, aside from as I said, like the plan that we have to generate some NFTs out of user content. Like you're in your game, you're doing some actions and stuff like that. We can pull this like section, make a little animation out of it, and just create an NFT for it, and then people can have a marketplace. And you could, like, if good actions are happening during a session and stuff like that, it could be interesting to have those out. So that's what we're looking towards as far as integrating NFTs inside our system. But like aside from that, like in what we do, like blockchain and stuff, I'm not sure how we can decentralization for something that is extremely decentralized, like LBEs, like what we do. I'm not sure how we can integrate that in there. It's an interesting problematic though.
Yeah, a lot of what's happening right now is companies trying to find a way to do something old in a new way. And, some of the old stuff works just fine the way it currently works, which is the pushback on Web 2 to Web 3. A lot of companies are saying, why do we have to do this? We're making money in Web 2. And the Web 3 companies that are making lots of money are going, yeah, you're making money, but you could be doing something different. And I'm not no judgment placed whatsoever, right? It's more a question of like, I'm an owner in a video game company, and we got involved in blockchain because we thought we could do some cool new things.
Hmm.
It was a tool. It wasn't a, hey, let's become a blockchain company.
Yeah,
And that's why this podcast was born. It's this really cool idea of what tools are out there, what are people building even for internal use, right?
yeah.
Like we have a tool we built for internal use that's basically blockchain based, and not basically, it is. And we use it for presentations all the time. And it's really cool because nothing out there exists that does what this thing does. But I'm curious what other things are being built that I'm not seeing.
Yeah.
Like there's so many projects and so many video game companies that would love to get involved, but like you, they're saying, I don't know how this fits. And I think people are trying to find fits, some of them, and other people are going, nah, we're just going to keep going down the same path. This path's working, and
I mean,
it's
it depends on your bandwidth, right? It depends on how
right.
much time you can actually afford to put yourself into it. Yeah, like going to Web 3 is like what? Like how old is this? Like, it's such in its infancy that if you're busy just trying to pull out your product as
Mhm.
it is already, and as you like we made it like 4 years ago basically. And we don't have the bandwidth to go and be like, okay, let's just like switch everything that we do and try to figure out how to integrate those technologies. It is extremely interesting to be exposed to it, like
Right.
definitely, and that's something like we'd love to be exposed more, definitely. Like, if I may ask you a question, like how do you use this within the company that you work on actually?
So what we're actually building, and I don't want to get into too much of a
Yeah,
shill,
yeah,
here, but I'd be happy to kind of give you an idea. What we're building is an interoperability system that does 3 levels of interoperability in video games. So the first is the idea of emotes, which would probably work perfect in your worlds. Like you have this idea of a Fortnite emote. How cool would it be to be able to use that same emote in Call of Duty? That's what our engine does. You also have the idea of state-specific NFTs. That's the idea of Batman kicks somebody in the face, and obviously it should say kapow. I mean, that's something that, it's a missed opportunity, let's be honest. And then the last idea is the idea of making everybody in your VR world, everybody plays as Brad Pitt because obviously it's Brad Pitt, Deathmatch Saturday. And I make that joke all the time, and everybody understands that I'm kind of alluding to a Brad Pitt movie where he fought in a club. But, it's this idea that people want unique experiences, but they also want experiences that feel comfortable. And you have to find a way to tie comfort to uniqueness. And sometimes what we're pushing and what we're trying to do is making the comfort zone be something that's owned by the end user.
hmm
They own their emotions, they own their, emotes, they own their favorite t-shirt for every video game. And by doing that, it allows them to have a unique experience that feels like home. Like in what I saw on your website for Title VR, where they're in their space outfits and everything else, you know, let's say your favorite brand is, the car that you drive. How cool would it be to have, the logo of the car you drive on your shirt in that game, out in space? Because obviously, Ford, for example, is now making space vehicles in your modern shooter. There's
No,
some
we
really
actually
neat
have
things you
plans
can
for
do.
that. We actually have plans for that for customization for clients for like if people like it is a great market. It's a great segment as well. People want to have their own individuality, especially for an
Exactly.
experience that. I mean, we're in stealth mode still, and we still have clients that come back. Like I've come back like 6 times already. So like those are the perfect targets that would
Mhm.
enjoy being special, have something special and everything. Yeah. And so you use blockchain for that, for
Yeah,
that.
so we're not building what I would call like a transactional type of company. We're a
Mm-hmm,
use-based company. We're building stuff to allow people to own their identity,
mm-hmm,
um, which I think is the cool part. That's literally why we started this podcast, is because there's some really cool uses that allow people to have their own identity. And as an attorney, identity is everything, right? Like,
yep,
who signed this document,
yep,
and same thing goes in video games. Who signed this kill in this video game? It's literally the same thing, even though we don't think of it as being such. When Bob is the person that did the headshot, that was, the headshot heard around the world. How cool would that be for Bob to be able to brag about that till the end of time? Because now he has,
it is written
I'm the
down.
one. Right, right. And there's this permanent record of Bob's actions. And
Yep.
that's what's, I think, going to make video games really neat in blockchain spaces. Not, you know, the play to earn side, which I think is cool. But I think it's the idea of a permanent identity where Bob can say, I'm the best person in this game that has ever existed in the history of the world. Love me,
Yeah, I know.
And
I feel you. Like we again because of the immersiveness of the immersiveness and the free will that we introduce into our game, or we try to introduce into our game, and the plans that we have for our games as well, because we're gonna try to make games that have like even more free will and even more continuity inside with our players. I definitely concur with your statement here. And again, that relates back to what I was saying a bit earlier about the NFTs that we're trying to make for actions within the game, and that the users will actually own those NFTs. Like we don't own them. They
right,
they created this moment. It's only fair that it is theirs. Um, it is definitely something that is like we try to give this in relating to what you were saying, to try to give this ownership back to the user as far as what they do within the game, especially if we start generating content for them, or customization and stuff like that.
right.
So yeah, no, it is interesting. To be fair, I didn't think about a blockchain solution to do all these, but it is
Well, and think about like what you're
strong.
doing, right? You have this idea of creating NFTs for some of the things that happen in your game, right?
Mhm.
How interesting would it be for Bob the blacksmith to be the blacksmith in your game, and when he's not playing the game, he's now an NFC, or an NPC rather, as Bob the
Yeah.
blacksmith, and it would follow the set of characteristics that Bob always acts as. If
Mhm.
Bob's always funny, Bob would be a funny character in the game and use the same stupid jokes. That way, when Bob's away from the game, his character continues to grow,
It
and when
lives
he
on.
comes back to the game, he feels like it's still living, right? There's some really neat things that you could do, but man, it's so far. I don't know how far it is. That's why I'm so excited about all this stuff. There's some stuff that could be like tomorrow, and then there's stuff that's like, this might be Star Trek.
I
you
mean,
know
yes and no. If like with the rise of the AI systems, and even like Amazon giving you AI in the cloud and stuff like that, like crazy stuff, like or machine learning and all those solutions. Like you could see something like this where you actually tag the traits of your player, and the more they come, the more their NPCs actually
Grow.
closer and closer to what they actually are. you could go crazy, and the lawyer and you might start tilting, but you could, start registering what they say, and then just like start, going.
Yeah, like that's the idea that they did in the Marvel movie not too long, or Marvel TV show with WandaVision. The ship of what is it was a Diffesis or whatever. Like how long until they keep replacing parts on my digital self is it no longer me?
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yet it's all me, and that's
Yeah.
cool, right? There's some things that
Right.
are going to happen that are going to be really neat.
Yeah. No,
Um,
definitely.
Regardless, Jerome, we do try to keep the show at about 20 minutes. So I
Okay.
want to thank you for coming on here so much and just kind of chatting with me about what you're doing and, what you can kind of see coming down the pipeline in both video games and in the blockchain. And thank you so much for coming. And if you'd like to tell anybody any more about Tidal Force VR, go ahead and do it now, and then I'll wrap up.
Well, I mean, we're a stealth company, but for now, see us coming, because we're gonna come out very soon, and we're gonna try to push for good things inside the VR space, multiplayer VR space. So yeah, check us out. Come to New York. We're right
That,
there.
that's awesome. Thanks everybody for
Thank you,
listening.
Josh.
This has been Jerome Chanpigny with Tidal Force VR. I'm Josh Hale with Crypto and Gaming, and this has been brought to you by the One Up Gaming Company, bringing you extra life to all of your video games, regardless of where you are and what platform you're on. Thank you for listening. This has been a presentation of Crypto and Gaming Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are actively looking for more people to discuss crypto and gaming with and how they relate to each other going forward. You can email me at hello@tabletop.works and we'll be in touch. We'd love to hear what you have to say regarding crypto and gaming. Thank you again for listening to Crypto and Gaming, the podcast.